So, um, have you ever noticed this really strange paradox in modern life? You look around, and some of the most objectively successful people on the planet are also somehow the most fundamentally miserable.
Oh, yeah. It is a profound crisis of our time, honestly. We've optimized for achievement, but we have completely lost the thread on fulfillment.
Right, like they wake up at the absolute pinnacle of what society tells us we should want. They have the title, the money, the house, the accolades, and they just feel completely empty.
Because we build these towering, shiny lives, but the foundation underneath them is totally hollow. It's just, a facade.
Exactly. And today, we are looking at an incredibly dense, genuinely fascinating manual that attempts to solve this exact crisis. It's called the Human Operating System.
Yeah, specifically, we're digging into part 3 today.
Right, which deals with purpose and direction. And our mission for you, the listener, on this deep dive is pretty monumental. We are looking at the massive transition from simply knowing yourself to intentionally designing your life.
Which is a huge leap. Knowing who you are is essential, obviously. Knowing your quirks, your personality type, your preferences, that's all fine.
It's a great starting line.
Yeah.
But the manual makes this undeniable point that eventually every single one of us wakes up, looks in the mirror and asks, well, what am I actually here to do?
Right, and self-knowledge without a blueprint for action is basically just a flat slab of concrete. I mean, it doesn't shelter you, it doesn't build anything.
Yeah, it's just sitting there.
Exactly. So this manual is entirely dedicated to bridging that massive gap between understanding your internal world and actively constructing the reality you want to live in. We are moving from philosophical reflection to practical architecture here.
I love that. And the text sets the stage with this core premise, which I want to quote directly because it is the engine for literally everything we're going to discuss today.
Oh, this quote is brilliant.
It really is. It says, vision inspires, purpose directs, goals organize, strategy connects, daily action builds.
It's a literal blueprint.
It is. And we are going to walk you through how to construct a life of actual significance using that blueprint rather than just, chasing conventional success.
So to start laying the groundwork, we really have to talk about the operating system's primary directive.
Which is escaping the success trap. Right?
Yeah. The distinction the text draws here completely flips the standard script. I mean, most people spend their entire waking lives asking some variation of the question, how can I become successful?
Right. How do I get the promotion?
Exactly. They chase the specific salary number, the social validation, but the manual argues that almost no one stops to ask the much heavier, much more demanding question.
Why does my life matter?
Yes, why does it matter? It draws a hard line in the sand right there. Without meaning, goals are just empty checklists. Wealth is just temporary security.
And knowledge is just inert trivia.
Exactly. Meaning is the actual catalyst that transforms mere existence into purpose.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit, because I hear that, but honestly, it is really easy to confuse the two in real time. We are completely conditioned to equate meaning with happiness.
100%.
We think, well, if I'm smiling, if I'm comfortable, if I'm happy right now sitting on this beach or at this nice restaurant, then my life is meaningful.
And that is exactly where the standard human operating system just crashes. Chasing happiness is a structurally flawed way to live.
Because it's fleeting, right?
Totally. Happiness is, by biological design, a transient emotion. It's a chemical state. It comes and goes based on your circumstances, your sleep schedule, your blood sugar, or even, honestly, just the weather.
Yeah, you can't build a life on something that fragile.
No, you can't. Meaning, however, is structurally sound enough to actually survive the storm.
So it's like, happiness is the weather, but meaning is the house.
That is exactly it. Just think about the most meaningful things human beings do. Raising a child, caring for a sick parent with dementia, building a business from absolute scratch.
None of those are a walk in the park.
Right. If you ask someone at 3 in the morning, covered in baby spit up, exhausted out of their mind, if they are happy right now, the answer is probably no.
Definitely no.
It is agonizing, stressful, deeply uncomfortable work, yet those exact same tasks are profoundly meaningful.
The meaning doesn't just survive the hardship, it's often forged in it.
Exactly.
Which brings us to how we actually source this meaning. The manual proposes that meaning isn't just this ethereal vapor you randomly stumble into. It's actually quantifiable.
Yeah, it outlines 5 universal sources of meaning.
And I want to spend some time on these because they really anchor the whole philosophy. First is a relationship with God or spirituality, some connection to a purpose far beyond the self.
Which is fundamentally about realizing you are not the center of the universe. It provides an ultimate true north.
Because if you're the center, what happens when you fail?
When the self is the only metric for success, failure is completely devastating. But when you have a spiritual anchor, your life is contextualized within a much larger narrative.
Right. Then the second source is relationships. Family, true friendship, love, community, that deep, undeniable sense of belonging.
We are social primates, you know? Our nervous systems literally regulate each other. The text points out that isolated success is a complete contradiction in terms.
You can't be successful alone.
Right. You can have all the money in the world, but if you have no one to share a meal with who genuinely knows you, your meaning tank is just on empty.
Wow. Then we have the third source, which is growth. Learning, improvement, mastery, that innate human curiosity.
This taps into neuroplasticity. We are biologically designed to adapt and expand. When you stop growing, you don't just stay stagnant, you actually begin to atrophy, psychologically and physically.
So meaning is found in that friction of becoming slightly better today than you were yesterday.
Exactly.
The fourth one is contribution. Helping, teaching, creating, leading, basically leaving the room slightly better than you found it.
Contribution is where meaning becomes exponential, I think. It's the shift from consumption to production.
Changing from what can I get to what can I give.
Yes. When your primary focus shifts from what can the world give me to what can I offer the world, your resilience skyrockets because your purpose is no longer entirely dependent on your own internal state.
And finally, the fifth source is experience. Beauty, nature, adventure, art, wonder. Just the sheer awe of being alive.
Awe is incredibly grounding. Staring at the ocean, listening to a brilliant piece of music. I mean, these things remind us of the texture of life, not just the utility of it.
The manual actually puts these into an equation, which I found fascinating. It says, purpose plus relationships plus growth plus contribution plus reflection equals meaning.
Did you notice that reflection is the multiplier there?
Yes. Why is that so critical?
Because reflection is the mechanism of integration. You can have deep relationships, you can be growing, you can be contributing, but if you never pause to reflect on those things,
To actually process them.
right, to assign significance to them, the meaning passes right through you like water through a sieve. Reflection is what captures the meaning and stores it in your operating system.
Okay, let's unpack this and ground it in reality for a second. Because it's effortless to feel a sense of meaning on a mountaintop, or when you're holding a newborn, or when you just got a big promotion.
Sure.
But what happens during a devastating crisis? What happens when you have a terrible, painful week at work, or you get fired, or a relationship collapses, or you get a terrible medical diagnosis? Does this equation just evaporate?
That is the ultimate stress test for this entire architecture. And the manual confronts this directly in Building Block 6. It doesn't romanticize suffering at all.
Good, because suffering is just awful.
It makes it very clear that suffering is painful, it is chaotic, and it is not inherently good. But it insists that human beings have this profound ability to discover growth through their response to the pain.
It's about transforming the difficult experience.
Exactly. When you are in the middle of a terrible week, the system prompts you to run a specific diagnostic, instead of asking, why is this happening to me?
Which is such a common reaction.
Right, but it's a victim's question that leads nowhere. Instead, you ask, what is this experience teaching me?
You look for the hidden curriculum in the pain.
Yes. How is this changing me? What specific strength am I being forced to develop right now?
And then it asks the most important question of all. Who might benefit from what I learn? That changes the entire framing for me.
It really does. You are no longer just enduring the pain. You are actively gathering intelligence to share with someone else later.
It moves you from being an isolated victim to an eventual guide.
Think of the most impactful people you know. Usually, their greatest strength is a scar that healed over a deep wound, and now they use that strength to protect others. That is how meaning is forged in adversity.
The text actually suggests a daily practice to reinforce this.
Yeah. Every evening, asking yourself, what gave today meaning? Whose life was slightly better because I showed up today?
It reorients the brain entirely. You stop measuring your day by how many emails you answered, and you start evaluating it by significance.
Which is a huge shift.
But meaning is just the fuel, right? It's the emotional energy. You can't just sit in an armchair feeling a deep sense of meaning. You have to actually get up and build a life around it.
Fuel needs an engine and a chassis.
Exactly. Which transitions us from the philosophy of purpose to the actual architecture. Section 2 of the deep dive. constructing the blueprint.
This is diving into Chapter 19, and it's moving from the idea to the architecture. Most people stop at discovery. They take a personality test, they do some journaling, they declare, my purpose is to help people.
And then they just go back to their normal, chaotic lives.
Exactly. This system asks the infinitely harder question, how do I build my entire life? Like, how do I build my Tuesday morning around that purpose? Purpose is no longer just an idea. It is a construction sequence.
The text visualizes this with what it calls the life purpose architecture, or the purpose pyramid. And the flow is vital here. It flows strictly downward.
Right, from the top down.
It starts at the absolute top with God, or an ultimate truth. That flows down into your purpose. Your purpose dictates your identity. Your identity defines your values. Your values shape your mission. Your mission clarifies your vision. Your vision dictates your goals. Your goals break down into projects. Projects become habits, and habits become daily actions.
The downward gravity of that pyramid is the secret. Habits and daily actions sit at the very bottom. They bear the entire weight of the structure.
So if they aren't connected to the top,
If they are not directly, visibly connected to the purpose at the top, the structure collapses. Everything flows downward to daily habits.
we see this collapse all the time, particularly in what the manual calls siloed success versus integrated success.
Oh, siloed success is an absolute epidemic right now. Imagine someone who pours 100% of their energy into the career silo. They become a CEO, they make millions, they are on magazine covers.
Sounds great on paper.
Right. But because they didn't integrate their purpose across their entire life, their health silo is in ruins. Their family silo is bankrupt, and their inner life is empty.
They built a towering skyscraper of a career, but it's sitting on a fractured foundation.
Exactly. The life blueprint must encompass all domains.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. Most people treat their purpose like a beautiful painting. You hang it on the wall in the living room, you look at it when you feel inspired. Maybe you point it out to guests at a dinner party. Oh yes, my purpose is environmental conservation.
Right, it's decorative.
Yes. But this operating system treats purpose like the load-bearing walls of a house. It's not decorative at all. It has to physically hold up the roof of your finances, your marriage, your physical health, and your community impact.
That is the concept of integrated life domains. Your purpose has to exist simultaneously inside your faith, health, relationships, learning, career, and finances.
So they aren't competing against each other.
Right. So when an opportunity comes along, say a massive promotion that requires you to travel 250 days a year, you don't just ask, will this make me more money? You have to run it through an integration filter.
You ask, does this support my ultimate purpose? How does this impact my health domain?
How does this affect my family domain? If it destroys 3 domains to elevate one, it is not an opportunity. It is a threat disguised as an opportunity.
So for you listening right now, how do you practically draw up this integrated blueprint? The text offers a brilliant, highly actionable takeaway: reverse engineering.
We do this in business all the time, but rarely with our own lives, which is crazy.
It is crazy. So you project yourself 20 years into the future, but you don't just visualize your bank account. You ask, what kind of parent are you in 20 years? What kind of leader? What is your resting heart rate? What is the actual texture of your daily life?
You solidify that 20-year legacy vision, and then you literally work the math backward, step by meticulous step.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, to achieve that 20-year vision, what must be true in 10 years? To hit that 10-year mark, where do I need to be in 5 years? What are the 1-year objectives that support the 5-year plan?
Down to the quarterly projects.
The monthly tasks, the weekly priorities, all the way down to what you are going to do today at 2 in the afternoon.
The future creates today. That concept from the manual just hit me so hard. You are no longer waking up and defensively reacting to whatever lands in your inbox.
No, you are aggressively executing a tiny reverse-engineered fragment of your 20-year vision. It completely eliminates the anxiety of the blank page.
When you wake up, you don't have to figure out what to do with your life. The blueprint already tells you.
Your only job is to swing the hammer on today's specific brick.
But, okay, let's get ruthlessly practical here.
Yeah.
You've drawn up the beautiful blueprints. You've reverse-engineered your 20-year legacy down to a specific task you need to do at 6 in the morning on a Wednesday. The alarm goes off. It is pitch black outside. You are completely exhausted. The bed is warm. Where does the actual physical and psychological energy come from to actually swing that hammer?
This brings us to Section 3, Chapter 20.
Powering the system.
Yes, and this is where the manual introduces something utterly mind-bending. Engineered motivation. It is a radical paradigm shift.
How so?
What's fascinating here is how it dismantles the traditional view. The standard advice treats motivation like a weather event. You just have to wait for it to strike, or you try to summon it by watching a hype video on social media.
Or reading inspiring quotes.
Right. But this operating system argues that waiting for motivation is a fundamental misunderstanding of human psychology. Motivation is not a spark that starts the engine. It is the exhaust that comes out of the engine once it's already running.
It is an output of your system, not an input.
Exactly. The absolute rule here is that action comes before motivation.
It sounds so backward. Like, how do you take the action if you don't feel motivated to do it?
This is where the distinction between internal identity and fleeting emotion becomes so critical. You don't take the action because you feel like it. You take the action because of who you have decided to be. It's identity-driven.
Okay, let's unpack this with a gym analogy. Nobody feels motivated when they are tying their freezing cold running shoes at 5:30 in the morning.
Nobody. The motivation does not exist at 5:30. But you take the action anyway. You start moving. That initial reluctant action creates a tiny bit of momentum.
And then the brain notices.
Yes, the brain registers that momentum, which creates a small hit of dopamine and confidence. And then that confidence is what generates the motivation. By the time you are 10 minutes into the run, the motivation has arrived.
But if you stayed in bed waiting for it, it never would have come.
Waiting for motivation just delays action. Beginning action creates progress creates confidence, and then motivation.
The manual also breaks down the quality of the fuel we are putting into this engine, comparing external versus internal motivators. External motivators are the classic carrots and sticks, right? Money, status, getting a bonus, the fear of getting fired.
Getting likes on social media. And the text doesn't dismiss them entirely. It acknowledges that they do work in the short term, but it warns that external motivators are highly fragile.
The moment the reward is removed, the behavior just stops.
Exactly. If you are only working out to look good for a beach vacation, the day you get back from the beach, the workouts stop.
Whereas internal motivation is infinitely renewable. Things like curiosity, a desire for growth, a deep sense of identity and purpose.
Those don't depend on anyone else giving you a reward because the act itself is the reward.
But the manual also gets incredibly grounded about the biological realities of motivation. We like to pretend we are just these brains floating in jars, purely driven by philosophy.
Oh, totally. But the reality outlined in the text is that motivation requires physical energy. The rule here is absolute. You must manage energy before you can manage time.
I think a lot of people miss this. You can have the most dialed-in, 20-year reverse-engineered purpose in the world. But if you are sleeping 4 hours a night, surviving on processed sugar, and staring at screens for 14 hours a day, your motivation engine is going to completely seize up.
Because discipline requires biological energy. It takes immense prefrontal cortex energy to override short-term impulses and pursue long-term goals.
So if you're starving your brain,
if your brain is starved of sleep or basic nutrition, it will default to the path of least resistance every single time. It is not a moral failing, it is a biological certainty.
Okay, let me unpack this with a little pushback though. Because if motivation is a system, let's say you have the internal drive. Your identity is locked in. Your sleep and nutrition are perfect. Why do we still see highly driven, deeply purposeful people crash and burn? Why do they lose their drive completely and experience burnout?
That is a great question, and the manual addresses this directly in Building Block 10, self-renewal. Because even the most perfectly engineered machine needs downtime and maintenance.
It can't run hot forever.
Right. The system recognizes that motivation naturally fluctuates. We have seasons of high output and seasons of low output. The tragedy is how high achievers respond to the low output.
With guilt, usually.
Yes, self-judgment. When they lose motivation, they think, I'm becoming lazy or I'm losing my edge. So they double down and try to force it. They just mash the gas pedal while the engine is literally smoking.
Which just guarantees catastrophic burnout.
Precisely. The operating system demands a different response entirely. Instead of judging yourself, you have to run a diagnostic. When the check engine light comes on, you don't just smash the dashboard. You ask, what exactly is depleted?
And it might not just be physical tiredness, right?
Exactly. Is it physical energy or is it hope? Are you burned out because you've lost sight of why this even matters?
That's a huge one.
Or is it connection? Are you deeply lonely because you've isolated yourself to work? Or is it clarity? Are you paralyzed because the next step of the project is just too ambiguous?
You must identify the specific depleted resource and replenish that exact source, rather than just pushing harder.
That is such a vital distinction, because if you are burned out because you lack clarity on a complicated project, taking a 2-week vacation to a beach resort won't fix it.
No, you'd just be anxious on the beach.
Exactly. And if you are burned out from profound loneliness, reorganizing your task management software isn't going to help at all. You have to treat yourself like a complex ecosystem that needs precise troubleshooting.
So now that we have a renewable energy source, this motivation engine, where do we direct that energy? We need specific milestones to measure our progress.
Which brings us to Section 4, Chapter 21, Designing the Milestones, the reality of goal setting.
The word goal has been so watered down, honestly. It's come to mean like a wish I wrote down on January 1st.
But the manual treats goals as rigorous architectural components. And the foundational premise is that goals should never exist independently. They must organically emerge from the entire human operating system.
Right. If you randomly decide, I want to run a marathon or I want to make $1 million, without tethering it to your purpose, you're introducing a rogue element into your system.
To ensure they align, the text outlines the 4 dimensions of a goal.
And most of us only ever track 1 dimension, maybe 2 if we're lucky.
Right. The first dimension is the most common, the outcome. What is the final deliverable? What do you get? A published book, a specific revenue target, losing 20 pounds.
That's the finish line.
Then the second dimension is the process. What are the repeatable actions required to get there? Writing 500 words a day, making 10 sales calls a morning. What you actually do.
Those 2 are standard. But then the manual adds the 3rd and 4th dimensions, which change the game entirely. The 3rd is learning.
What specific new knowledge, skills, or mindsets must I acquire to achieve this goal? What must I learn?
So if the goal is to launch a successful podcast, the learning dimension forces you to map out, well, I need to learn audio engineering. I need to learn how to conduct an interview. I need to understand digital marketing.
You are quantifying the knowledge gap before you begin.
And then the 4th dimension, which I think is the most profound of all, character. Who must I become to achieve this goal?
That question shifts the entire paradigm of success. The goal is no longer just about acquiring a thing. It is about the transformation of the person.
If your goal is to build a successful startup, the character dimension asks, do I need to become more decisive? Do I need to become better at regulating my emotions during conflict?
Do I need to develop more patience? It redefines the whole concept. Because even if the startup fails, if you developed patience, emotional regulation, and decisiveness, the goal served its purpose in your operating system.
This is the core of what the text calls the purpose execution engine. There's a quote here I want to emphasize. It says, people do not achieve extraordinary lives by setting extraordinary goals. They achieve extraordinary lives by building extraordinary systems that consistently translate purpose into action.
It's all about the system.
So what does this all mean practically? I want to offer an analogy here. Think about driving cross-country. Your purpose is the destination on the opposite coast. A goal isn't the treasure chest at the end of the map. It's just a road sign telling you that you're still on the right highway.
Like a sign that says Chicago 50 miles.
Yes, when you pass the sign, you don't pull over, set up camp, and say, I did it, I beat the sign.
No, you just acknowledge you're going the right way and keep driving.
Exactly, toward your ultimate purpose.
That perfectly captures the goal completion cycle that the text talks about. Achieving a goal isn't just checking a box and stopping. The process of completing the goal permanently alters you.
You're not the same person who started.
Right. By reaching that milestone, you have improved your skills, solidified your identity, and deepened your understanding of your own capabilities. That new, upgraded version of you loops back into the system, allowing you to set even more expansive goals for the next phase. The completion changes the person.
It's so cyclical.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. It is really easy to get excited and start setting a million goals using this framework. You want to learn Mandarin, run an Ironman, renovate the kitchen, start a nonprofit.
Ambition can become its own kind of chaos.
And the manual raises a massive warning sign right here in Chapter 22, which brings us to Section 5, Quality Control.
This is one of the most unique aspects of the human operating system. The text actually warns that succeeding at the wrong goal is infinitely worse than failing.
Because you've spent irreplaceable time and energy climbing a ladder, only to reach the top and realize it's leaning against the entirely wrong wall.
Exactly. A failure teaches you a lesson quickly. Succeeding at a goal that was never worth pursuing can steal a decade of your life.
So how do we protect our time and energy?
This brings us to the goal validation matrix. Before any goal is permitted to enter your life blueprint, it must survive this rigorous quality control system. Every potential goal gets interrogated.
You score it across several metrics.
Yes. Does it align with my core identity? Does it match my values? Is it actually feasible given my current resources? And does it contribute to my ultimate purpose?
And based on that score, the matrix spits out one of 4 verdicts: commit, redesign, delay, or reject.
Let's break those down. Commit means the goal is aligned, the timing is right, and you are going to put full resources behind it. Half commitment yields 0 results.
So if you commit, you go all in.
Redesign means the core idea is valuable, but the structure is flawed. You might want to start a business, but taking out a massive loan right now is too risky. So you redesign the goal to start it as a side hustle instead.
Delay is an interesting one for me. It means the goal is fantastic, it aligns perfectly, but right now is simply the wrong season of your life to execute it.
It requires profound maturity to delay a good idea.
And finally, reject. Reject means the goal fundamentally conflicts with your values or distracts from your primary purpose.
And the text makes a crucial point here. Rejecting a goal that conflicts with your purpose is a massive victory. It is not a loss. It is the active protection of your life's energy.
To help make these brutal decisions, the text offers 2 future-proofing tests, which I absolutely love. The first is the 5-year test. You imagine you have successfully completed the goal, but you are looking back at it 5 years from now. You ask, will I actually be grateful I pursued this?
Did it create any lasting value, or was it just an ego trip? The ego often drives us to set goals just to prove something to people we don't even like. The 5-year test strips that away.
The second test is the future self interview. Imagine sitting across the table from yourself 20 years in the future. The older, wiser you. Would your 20 years older self advise you to pursue this?
Your 80-year-old self is usually a pretty ruthless editor of your current priorities.
Okay, let me unpack this with some pushback.
Yeah.
Isn't this overanalyzing a bit? What if I just want to learn to play the guitar on the weekends? Do I seriously need to run a casual hobby through a 10-point validation matrix and mentally interview my future self just to strum some chords?
Well, this raises an important question, and it gets to the heart of what the text calls opportunity cost. The manual isn't outlawing hobbies or leisure. What it demands is that you stop pretending time is infinite.
Right.
When you choose one goal, you are mathematically saying no to another. That is the opportunity cost. If learning the guitar takes 10 hours a week, you have to ask the matrix, where are those 10 hours coming from?
If they're coming from scrolling social media, great.
Amazing. The matrix approves. But if those 10 hours are carved out of time you should be spending with your spouse, or if you are sacrificing sleep so your health domain begins to fracture, then learning the guitar might actually fail the goal alignment wheel.
It prevents holistic destruction for the sake of isolated success. It forces you to ask, am I willing to pay the hidden costs of this goal?
Exactly. So once a goal survives that gauntlet, it is validated. But a validated goal is just one piece of the puzzle. How do you fit dozens of validated goals into the limited time you have on Earth?
Which brings us to Section 6, the Master Plan, Strategic Life Planning from Chapter 23. The manual draws a very sharp distinction here between goals and strategy.
Goals answer the what. What do I want to achieve? Strategy answers the how. How will I intentionally organize my resources, my timing, and my priorities to maximize the probability of living my purpose?
Strategy is the logistics of purpose. And the most brilliant logistical concept in this section is the idea of life seasons. We cause ourselves so much suffering by trying to build every single aspect of our lives simultaneously.
Oh, it's exhausting. The text breaks life down into 4 distinct seasons: foundation years, building years, expansion years, and legacy years.
Understanding your current season changes your entire strategy.
Totally. The foundation years are usually early adulthood, though you can enter a foundation season at any age when you're starting over. The focus is on learning, physical health, defining values, and acquiring core skills.
You aren't trying to conquer the world yet, you're pouring concrete.
Right. Then you enter the building years. This is intense execution. Launching the career, starting the family, buying the house, grinding out the 10,000 hours of mastery. The building years are heavily focused inward on your immediate circle.
Then, as you stabilize, you transition into the expansion years. Your focus shifts outward. You are growing your influence, taking on leadership, mentoring others.
You have surplus resources to share.
And finally, the legacy years. The focus shifts to wisdom, stewardship, and passing the torch.
The anxiety we feel is almost always a result of seasoned confusion. You have a 25-year-old in the foundation stage beating themselves up because they haven't left a massive legacy yet. Or a 60-year-old trying to operate with the chaotic grind of the building years.
A good strategy honors the season you were in.
Strategy also involved looking at risk management and adaptive strategy. The manual tells us to treat our lives like an architectural project in an earthquake zone.
Because the grounds will shake.
It absolutely will. A rigid strategy shatters under pressure. An adaptive strategy absorbs the shock. You have to literally map out your vulnerabilities. What happens if life changes? What if I lose my job?
The strategy evolves, even though the purpose remains constant. Think of it like city zoning. You cannot put the heavy industrial factory of a massive, stressful career push directly next to the quiet residential neighborhood of a new marriage without building some serious infrastructure between them.
Buffer zones, boundaries.
Exactly. To manage all this, the manual prescribes a practice called the annual retreat. Stepping away for 1 or 2 days a year, completely unplugged, to act as the chief architect reviewing the project of your life.
Gives you a magnificent aerial view.
But you know, a 20-year strategy and an annual retreat are great from 30,000 feet. You still have to drive the car on the ground every single day. How do we navigate Tuesday morning?
Which takes us to the final piece, Section 7, Chapter 24, the Life Roadmap.
If Chapter 23 is the master strategy, Chapter 24 is the master navigation system. A roadmap tells you exactly where you are today, where you're going next, and how to know if you're on track.
And the very first step of navigation is admitting your current position. Think about a map app on your phone. You can type in the most beautiful destination, but if your phone cannot locate your current GPS coordinates, it cannot give you a single step of directions.
We do this with our lives all the time. We refuse to acknowledge our starting point because it's often painful to look at.
You have to take a brutally honest inventory. Who am I today? What season am I in? What resources do I actually possess right now? You cannot chart a valid course if you lie about your starting coordinates.
Once you establish that, you lock into the daily navigation system. This is the daily rhythm. It starts in the morning. You review your purpose, the current milestone you're aiming for, and then you pinpoint today's one essential action.
It narrows your focus from the overwhelming 20-year vision down to a single manageable action.
Then throughout the day, you course correct. Unexpected events, health issues, technology breaking, they will happen. The system is designed to absorb those shocks.
And then, crucially, the day ends with the evening reflection. You reflect, you celebrate small wins, you capture lessons learned.
But let me ask the question someone listening is definitely thinking right now. Does this level of relentless tracking and mapping eventually just become exhausting? Do I have to carry this dense manual around in my head for the rest of my life?
It's a completely valid concern. But the manual offers a deeply reassuring answer under building block 10, living the roadmap. The ultimate goal of this entire human operating system is that eventually, the roadmap disappears.
It becomes invisible.
Think about the first time you learned to drive a car with a manual transmission. It is an overwhelming cognitive load. The clutch, the RPMs, the brake, the mirrors, it is exhausting to just drive to the store.
But after 5 years of driving,
you drive home from work and you don't even remember the commute. The car just feels like an extension of your body. You reach a state of unconscious competence. The same thing happens here.
Through integration, it becomes how you naturally think. Purpose guides decisions automatically. It becomes your natural way of living.
The heavy architecture seamlessly dissolves into your natural way of moving through the world.
That is a phenomenal place to zoom out and quickly recap this massive journey for the listener. We started by discovering the deepest meaning and escaping the success trap. We drafted a literal blueprint, generating engineered motivation.
We validated goals to protect our time, planned a strategic life strategy across different seasons, and executed a daily roadmap.
From simply knowing yourself to intentionally designing your life. But I want to leave you with a final provocative thought that builds on the source material's focus on contribution and legacy.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've spent this entire deep dive talking about designing this incredible architecture for your own life. But consider this. What if the ultimate test of your human operating system isn't how smoothly it runs for you, but whether the structure you build is strong enough to provide shelter and a solid foundation for the next generation to begin building theirs?
Wow. That is the ultimate shift to true significance.
So take a look at your own blueprints today. Build something that actually lasts. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.